Coming up on First at 4, officials in Bell County are hoping a repeat of last year does not happen as more rain moves into the mountains. And we have new information about a body that was found in a creek yesterday in Knox County.
Our first system is not far away. The details on how much rain we could see now on First at 4.
Dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky, this is WYNT Mountain News First at 4.
Good afternoon, I'm Steve Hensley. First at 4, the temporary dry weather is about to come to an end. A flood watch goes into effect tonight, and tomorrow could be a washout. Chief Meteorologist Andrew Dockery begins our Severe Weather Alert Day coverage. Andrew?
Yeah, Steve, we are watching this system work in from the south, pushing its way to the north. And as cold air interacts, we could actually see a little bit of snow to the north along the Mountain Parkway and areas of Interstate 64 later tonight. Of course, pinpoint Doppler at this time, not really seeing much. You'll notice that rain to the south, but not all of that reaching the ground. But that is where our system is going to originate from. That flood watch goes all the way throughout tonight into your Thursday, and we'll continue to watch that, but also a new winter weather advisory for some of that winter weather up to the north at this time, including the I-64 corridor and maybe a few flakes, like we said, for the Mountain Parkway area as we head into this evening. Of course, temperatures right now 40 in London. Somerset was around 40 as well, just dropped out there with their sensor. 43 in Hazard and 36 in Jackson. Of course, this system bringing heavy rain, mudslides and rock slides, still the #1 threat for us with some localized flooding. Your river flooding shouldn't be too much of an issue for this system with 1 to 2 inches of rain. I think the river flooding comes after Thursday with the weekend and even more rain for system number 2. So Steve will continue to watch this and have a full look at that hour-by-hour forecast coming up in a few short minutes.
All right, thank you, Andrew. During last year's flooding that drenched the Cumberland Valley, Bell County was one of the hardest hit areas. Whole buildings were submerged, and with an already wet ground, Bell County officials are bracing for this round of rain and hoping that it will be nothing like last year. WYMT's Connor James is in the newsroom with more. Connor?
Steve, last year a handful of low-lying areas in Bell County were flooded. That included homes and parks. Here's some video of that last year. Now, what worries officials was that park looked completely fine just a day or so beforehand. The flooding happened almost overnight. Officials in the county worry with this incoming rain that even a couple inches could do some serious damage.
Yeah, well, when you're dealing with the river, it's quite a bit. I mean, it's going to come up maybe 30 or 40 feet if you get 3 or 4 inches of rain. The way as wet as the ground is and everything, it's going to be treetops, and down here at the fairgrounds, all you'll be able to see is the top of our shelter buildings.
Now, Steve, the Cumberland River is sitting at about 985 feet. Right now, that's about 12 feet higher than it should be.
All right, of course, we'll keep a close eye on all the rivers the next few days. Connor, thank you. The body of a woman found in Knox County on Monday morning has been identified. Kentucky State Police say Shannon Harkins Wombles of Flat Lick was the woman who was found in a shallow creek off Ed Harp Lane. An autopsy was performed at the Kentucky State Medical Examiner's office and found no trauma on her body. Family members say they are hoping for answers as to what happened to Shannon soon.
I just hope justice comes for her and peace for my son, so he knows what really happened to his mom. That's what I hope.
Police say a toxicology report is being conducted and will hopefully provide more information about her death. Legal challenges are mounting against President Donald Trump's national emergency as White House officials defend the executive action. CBS's Natalie Brand is at the White House after breaking down some of the legal challenges with an expert on constitutional law.
President Trump is defending his national emergency declaration to build a southern border wall.
I have an absolute right to call national security. We need strong borders. We have to stop drugs and crime and criminals.
But Professor Louis Michael Seidman of Georgetown University says the statistics may not be in the president's favor as his declaration faces multiple legal challenges.
Border crossings are way down from where they were several years ago. most of the drugs that the president worries about come through ports of entry.
16 states, including California, are suing President Trump, arguing that he does not have the constitutional authority to declare the emergency. A separate lawsuit from some members of Congress could also be coming on those same grounds.
Congress has pretty much expressly decided not to spend this money.
Much of that money will come from the Defense Department budget. Officials say DHS is already looking at construction locations.
We know there'll be a large portion of it being built in the Rio Grande Valley,
which sets up another legal battle with Texas landowners, 3 of whom have already filed suit over possible land seizures.
Those people, more clearly maybe than anyone else, have standing to object to what the president has done.
Like the president and most legal experts, Professor Seidman expects the Supreme Court will ultimately decide the issue. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
A new NPR PBS NewsHour poll shows that overall a majority of Americans disapprove of the president's use of a national emergency to build the wall. The numbers break down along party lines, with a majority of Republicans approving the use and a majority of Democrats disapproving it. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders has thrown his hat into the ring for president again, joining a crowded Democratic field. The independent senator from Vermont says his 2020 campaign for president will be a continuation of his 2016 run, when he mounted a significant challenge to the Democratic establishment. In an interview with CBS This Morning's John Dickerson, the 77-year-old progressive says he is fine if people call him a radical.
I believe that people are inherently entitled to health care. I believe people are entitled to get the best education they can.
Sanders becomes the 10th candidate officially battling for the Democratic nomination, joining several fellow senators. Lawmakers in West Virginia squashed a controversial education bill today. Striking teachers at the Capitol cheered as they learned Senate Bill 451 was postponed indefinitely, effectively killing it. That bill prompted teachers to walk out of classrooms because it paves the way for charter schools. The measure also would have introduced education savings accounts parents could use to homeschool their kids or pay tuition for private school. Public school teachers say that would draw resources away from their classrooms. The teachers' unions are expected to announce later today whether the strike will continue. In honor of American Heart Month, Pikeville Medical Center hosted a health fair today. From 9 until 4, you could stop by the East Kentucky Expo Center. PMC offered free health screenings, including blood pressure, glucose, COPD, and more. Deanna Porter with PMC says they set up 12 stations today to teach important life-saving information.
Time is muscle, like I said, and the quicker you can get help, the better chance of survival and less damage can be done.
If you missed today's community health fair, Porter says they plan to have more later this year. A hiker is sharing his story of survival after being stuck for hours in quicksand over the weekend on a trail known as the Subway Route in Utah's Zion National Park. 34-year-old Ryan Osman was hiking Saturday with his girlfriend Jessica McNeil when she tripped into quicksand. As he helped her out, his own right leg became engulfed up to his hip. With a storm coming in, McNeil, who was later diagnosed with hypothermia from the cold, hiked 3 hours until she found help. 10 hours later, park rangers reached Osman, but it took them another 2 hours to get him out of the quicksand.
I wouldn't go back and change anything or do anything differently. It was just a freak accident that my leg hit this hole of sand.
They were forced to spend the night when a winter storm brought in 4 inches of additional snow. It was not until yesterday that Utah rescuers, facing difficult terrain and stormy weather, rappelled down 100 feet of cable to lift Osman to safety. Osman suffered minor muscle damage but expects to make a full recovery. He says he has no plans to hike the subway route again. Now here's an update on a story we told you about yesterday. Investigators looking into the alleged hate crime against Empire actor Jussie Smollett are examining a threatening letter sent last month. When police raided the home of brothers Ola and Abel Osendairo last week, one of the items seized was a magazine. This is notable because the week before, Smollett says 2 masked men attacked him, yelling racist and homophobic slurs. The Empire Star received a threatening letter at the Chicago studios where the show was filmed. The words appeared to be spelled out with letters clipped from a magazine.
So the question I ask as a prosecutor is, what was the motive of the brothers to do any of this? Why would they do this?
Multiple sources say Smollett was upset the letter did not get a bigger reaction and decided to orchestrate the attack. CBS News has learned the Osendero brothers have now admitted to police Smollett hired them to stage the assault. Investigators have requested a follow-up interview with Smollett, who has repeatedly denied faking the attack. Let's head over to Wall Street on this Tuesday afternoon. The Dow closes up today more than 8 points. The hard-throwing Brooklyn Dodgers pitcher, who was one of the first black players in the major leagues, has died. The team confirmed Don Newcombe died this morning after a lengthy illness. He pitched 8 seasons with the Brooklyn and Los Angeles Dodgers from 1941 to 1959. Newcombe helped the Dodgers win their first World Series in 1955. He was a 4-time All-Star, pitched 3 World Series, and at the age of 22 became the second rookie to start the opening game of a World Series. Newcombe was 92. The fashion world is mourning the loss of one of its legendary visionaries. Chanel announced today that Karl Lagerfeld, the longtime creative director of the French luxury fashion house, has died. Cause of death was not released, but he missed a Chanel fashion show last month due to what the company called tiredness. The German-born designer took the reins at Chanel in 1983, helping to revive the brand. He also helped his own namesake fashion line and was a well-regarded photographer and director. Karl Lagerfeld was 85. Straight ahead on First at 4, owners of a Louisville farm are wondering what attacked and killed their livestock.
And the rain chances increase as we head into the evening hours. We'll break down everything we know coming up.
At Baptist Health, we want you to know the facts. Visit BaptistHealthTalks.com to view a video of occupational therapy